Welcome back to coverage here of Pro Tour Ether Drift. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon in the booth. It's cold outside.
Look at that. Look at that.
Paul and I went for a little walk this morning. It is cold out there, but in the convention center, we've got MagicCon happening. And one subset of the MagicCon is this, the Pro Tour. This is the competitive end of things. And this is what we love. The players are getting seated now to battle it out. And as it sits, we've got Matt Nass versus Ben Stark. These are two people, they've tested together for years. They have a long and storied history on the Pro Tour, and they still got it. 8-0 for our two undefeated players here coming in. And this is just a classic. There's only one person who's going to be undefeated after this match.
Yeah, what a matchup here. And keep in mind, Matt Nass was actually passing to Ben Stark. I think it was like Matt Nass into Alan Wu into Ben Stark. So curious if Matt's also in green, and that's a reason why Ben didn't get everything that he wanted here.
Let's take a quick look-see here. This is Ben Stark's list. We just saw this. He did have to splash for red, and he had to play a few cards you maybe wouldn't want in there necessarily. The Serpent, the second Hole Drifter, you know, the Mangler's not amazing.
Oh!
Matt Nass is straight up blue-red.
Oh, this is interesting. I mean, he got that Monument to Endurance late. He's got the Sloop and the double broadside barrage. A bunch of cyclers, a ton of cyclers.
Boom-mobile?
But he doesn't have the Marauding Mako or the Scrounger. So he really wants to draw that Monument to Endurance. Really curious how this deck's actually going to play out, because I personally haven't been able to make this deck work that often. You need to kind of draw those build-around cards to make it work in a lot of instances, the Monument being one of the best payoffs.
It is a finicky deck. The good news, if you are Matt Nass, is that if you do get that nice assertive curve out, Ben's deck is slow. Like, it's got some 6-drops in there. It's got some cycling. It has some, you know, vehicles that don't do much the turn they hit, and he may be able to get out ahead.
Right.
I'll do this one on the bottom.
But Matt's deck also didn't look like it had an incredible curve either. It's just trying to get it. You kind of want to play some Artillerist, cycle some cards, and ping Ben that way. And if Ben doesn't have enough removal, maybe the Artillerist could be key in just burning Ben down before he can kind of close the game out with his expensive creatures.
Engines one.
Now, he does have an End Rider Catalyzer to start things. Or, sorry. Yeah. And that gets his engines going, and it gets the other engines going on the other side as well. So, eye for an eye so far.
Yeah, and the nice thing, at least in the blue-red deck here,
I'll cycle this, deal one to you.
You get your engines going this way. There you go, Matt. The Artillerist is just a really nice way to get to maximum speed, and if Matt can utilize the mana advantage from the End Rider Catalyzer, might not attack here. Missed the land drop, though, with the cycle.
Yeah, he's on 6 cards, so maybe having to keep something a little sketchy. Oh, that's a tough one, though.
Yeah, very good against that Catalyzer. Catalyzer just doesn't have a reasonable attack here. Matt might main phase cycle again here. He doesn't have land drop number 3.
So same play, and he missed again?
No, I think he found a land.
Oh, he did, okay.
He found a land, and now remember, if he gets to 4 speed here, that End Rider Catalyzer does tap for 2 red mana. Does he have another Artillerist? He does, it seems.
I'll pass.
But Ben's got a decent squad here. He's getting in for 6, and he's got some removal effects as well. And if he feels like Matt could be getting to maximum speed, you could just kill the Catalyzer. Get in for a ton of damage. Matt only is representing 1 red mana this turn, which means Road Rage is seemingly the only thing he can cast here for 1 red mana. Ben with that Boom Scholar in hand, not particularly strong here, but Ben can just go Midnight Mangler into Runover if he wants to take the ultra aggressive line, or alternatively just play the Midnight Mangler and just attack for the 3 creatures and see if Matt's just happy trading the End Rider Catalyzer with the Thopterist.
All right, Ben thinking over his turn, and now he will act. Oh,
Yeah.
He's going to get aggressive here.
Yep. Close out the game here.
Yeah, Matt Nass does not have Road Rage in his list, so Ben Stark with the green light.
Yeah, and he's got the trip up too, so if Matt Nass just plays any permanent, Ben can just bounce that and then just attack for 6 next turn.
Kind of funny, he's the one playing the tempo game this time.
Right. Actually, he can attack for 7 because you can crew the Midnight Mangler with the Glitch Ghost Surveyor. Get in for 7, put Matt Nass down to 5, and remove whatever permanent he plays here. So you can just use that as a tempo play, and Matt might just be too far behind here to come back.
Yeah, good news for Matt. He did find another land off the top.
Yeah.
Keen Buccaneer's going to hit the battlefield, but
Yeah,
only temporarily.
Yeah, Ben is just going to cast that trip up here and just play the tempo game here.
Yeah, this is a mana stumble by Matt Nass that Ben is looking to capitalize on.
And Matt Nass didn't have anything for 1 mana previously. The only thing you could be maybe concerned about is perhaps a bounce off. Oh, is he going to wait and maybe just go an end of turn trip up? Could also be a consideration. You can also saddle the Midnight Mangler and attack for 6 this way and
Crew it up and
crew it up,
bash.
and Matt just doesn't have good blocks. So yeah, max speed and trip up in case Matt plays something even bigger, or he can just hardcast Howler's Heavy and then trip up on the following turn, and that's also
That's even
really,
better.
really great.
Yeah, the 2-3 just not getting the job done there for Matt Nass on blocks.
Although interesting, the other consideration would have just been to play the Howler's Heavy, crew the Mangler, and attack with everything.
Oh, sure.
Right? And then your Thopter's trades for the Keen Buccaneer, but you still have a great board. But both good options.
Yeah.
Okay, a second Buccaneer is going to hit the battlefield, but this should clear the way for Ben Stark. There are 2 mana available, though, for Matt Nass, so Ben
Right.
has some things to think about.
Yeah, 3 damage guaranteed to get through here. Trip up certainly going to be cast. He's going to let that. Okay.
And Matt Nass says, okay.
Too much.
Going to do it. Yeah, that was an interesting draw from Ben Stark. I wouldn't expect his deck to play out that way typically, right? It was almost like an aggressive tempo draw, but
Yeah.
he was really trying to pounce on the fact that Matt Nass missed a land drop and was behind.
Yeah. You could. Ben still has some 2 mana plays, some 3 mana. He's still curved out, and Matt just stumbled, missed land drop number 3 for 2 turns. So. Oh, Matt Nass has got a Draconautics Engineer in his deck.
Yeah, that's
really
a
good card.
nice one.
And this is the type of matchup where you might not be scared to just run it out turn 2.
No.
Right? Ben doesn't have a ton of ways to actually kill this in his blue-green base deck.
Yeah, you can see the red card there and think, oh, maybe something. That's not what Ben's up to with his red splashes. He's not splashing for removal.
Yeah, and Draconautics Engineer, one of the double exhaust cards in the format. If you pay the red, it's a +1. It gets a +1/+1 counter. A lot of people actually miss that part.
I've missed that part.
So you just can't get good blocks with it. And then, of course, for the 4 mana, nobody misses this one. You can just make a 4/4 dragon.
Yeah, and this is the type of card, too, that only costs 2 mana, so you can play it now. But if you draw this card late in the game, you can just do the things, and it is nasty.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nothing here for turn 3 out of Matt Nass. Might just exhaust the Engineer to turn it into a 3/3 just for mana purposes.
Use up his. He's also on mono islands in hand, so
Right.
using up your red every turn is important.
Meanwhile, Ben's got the perfect mana, right? He's got red, blue, green,
He does.
everything he
Colorless.
needs here.
He's got it all.
Yeah. Next turn, he can play Boosted Sloop and Reef Roads.
Well, Matt
This
has
is
to
gonna
be happy,
very
though.
Confusing.
It's exhausted a little bit.
Okay.
Partially exhausted, yeah. But Matt has a nice little situation here because he can just play a land and pass.
And there's not much Ben can do here.
Nope.
Matt's not going to attack, I don't think. Oh, he's going to do something else
Oh,
here.
wow.
Is he just playing the vehicle?
Huh.
Glamorous Ironclad. The issue is if he doesn't find a red source, he can't just make a dragon on his turn and give it haste. Right? He really needs to find another mountain. Oh, no, he can't give it haste because he already exhausted
Yeah, so
the Engineer.
I mean, the thought process on just doing the exhaust here, right, is you get a chance to do it. If somehow Ben untaps and says, okay, here's run over,
right.
you
so,
just never get your 4/4 out of the deal.
Right. Fortunately, the Engineer is a 3/3, so
It
run
is.
over would not actually
So run over
work.
specifically wouldn't, but
Right.
But I mean a removal spell, right?
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
in Matt's seat.
So Matt's probably aware of the interactive spells that Ben can have, and I don't know that Ben actually has a way to kill the Engineer other
Yeah.
than run over.
Trip up, but
He has a bounce effect in the trip up, but of course you don't really want to be tripping
does-
up the Engineer.
doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
No. 18.
And just making sure that thing doesn't have flying on top of everything else. There's
Oh,
Boom
Boom
Scholar,
Scholar.
Tapland, go. So Ben using up his mana and setting things up. He has a Pit Automaton.
Does, and he does have the trip up for the token, but this is a lot of damage, right? If Matt just crews up the Ironclad, I guess Ben can double block, and then he would only lose one creature because it is a 6/3. But Matt Nass does have a crash and burn, so if Ben goes for the double block here, you crash and burn the Boom Scholar after the double block happens, and then the Pit Automaton dies for free.
Okay.
I think he's happy with that clean 2-for-1.
Those are very difficult to pass up.
Or no, it doesn't have trample. What am I saying? I'll play a
It's
land.
menace, but not trample. Now he's going to just play his land and pass turn back over.
It was a good turn there for Matt Nass. Ben has a lot of action still. If you can just get to land number 6,
Yeah,
does
that's
have the
the key.
Autark Mammoth in hand.
And we know that he has access to multiple migrating Ketrodons at some point, not in his hand, but in his deck.
16.
Does he have a land? He does. So he can just Hull Drifter here and
Yeah, but this
fuel the late game. Is he going to take too much damage?
he's
in
going
the
to take a
meantime?
good amount of damage here, depending on what Matt Nass plays. If he can play a different creature to crew the Ironclad, he gets to get in for 9 this turn.
This is the hard part about Hull Drifter, right?
Right.
Like it's just your whole turn, and then he couldn't even crew it.
The crew cost is so high on
It
that
is.
card.
It is.
Play this guy. Oh.
Okay.
6.
Look, yeah, so this is an attack for 6, and then he's just going to make a dragon at end of turn here with the Engineer.
This is looking good for Matt Nass. Ben's got some work to do to get back on here. He also, yeah, okay, so he did find his 6th land.
He did find the land, though. So Ben's hand is looking pretty good. Now, he's going to take 4 damage in the air.
He just really wanted a Ketrodon instead of the Mammoth here.
Yeah, yeah. But, well, yes, absolutely. Especially because Matt Nass has double Broadside Barrage in his deck.
Right.
And that doesn't actually kill the Ketrodon.
And it blocks the dragon, etc. I mean, not that there's much to complain about with the Mammoth, but Ben is very much in a defensive stance right now.
Yeah, it's so awkward, though, just because Ben's board is just really weak right now. All he has is a 2/2. Can't even crew up the Hull Drifter, so that run over only deals 2 damage. So you can't even kill the Draconautics Engineer this turn. For example, if Matt goes end of turn, make a 4/4, you have trip up, but your run over just doesn't do anything.
Right.
Right. It doesn't actually. So then Matt can attack you for 6 again, and that's a
Yes.
bunch of damage. So that's what Ben's considering. The double spell of being able to go trip up into run over would be nice if you can kill 2 things.
If you could crew the Hull Drifter, it would
Yeah.
solve that problem.
But he cannot. So
3.
so then it's just, do you just run out the Mammoth here? If Matt Nass has a Broadside Barrage, which he certainly could have at this point, it's kind of tough. But you do have a 3/3 in play, right, that you can use to crew the Hull Drifter. So I think the Mammoth is the only play
Yeah,
here.
so he's just going to go with Mammoth.
Oh, shoot.
It's going to get its friend.
And Matt Nass is going to...
It's rare that a Mammoth feels like not quite enough. And it might be enough, but this turn it doesn't quite solve all the problems.
Sure. Right, right. Yeah, I think Matt here just make a dragon. I guess you can go Barrage if you don't care about the 4/4 flyer, because you could have made the flyer first, then play the Barrage, and then you get in for 4 in the air. But I suppose there's a double block available for Ben Stark.
There is, but you would kill both things.
Right.
It's not the worst. Then again, I don't know. Killing the Hull Drifter doesn't feel quite the same as getting an actual
2
creature off the
dragons.
board.
Oh, he's copying the ability here.
No way, double
Pit
dragon?
Automaton, double dragon. That's what he was setting up for. Of
Nice,
course.
I did not see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, how does Ben come back from this? I don't think so. He needs a Ketrodon badly here to be able to
Yes.
just block these dragons.
And to get him some of the life he's about to lose.
Right. Yeah, the Engineer is fully exhausted now. Just 3/3 with 2 4/4 flyers. That's it. Not bad.
That was awesome for Matt Nass.
Double dragon.
So you go to 9.
So he just traded.
Yeah, and this is where you look at cards like Glitchko Surveyor and just the fact that its stats are just so underwhelming. That's kind of the reason why people,
Yes.
or it doesn't have as high of a win rate as you would expect, just because it's really bad on defense.
Right. Greenbelt Guardian. See, he just keeps drawing like big, powerful things for the ground.
Yeah, he just needs a big creature to be able to even try to cast Run Over, but he just doesn't have anything big enough here to kill a dragon. Now he can trip up one of the dragons. Still has to deal with the vehicle.
It just would be such a different game if the run over had been live, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because trip up plus run over is really nice to help solve some of the problems that he's facing, but and I don't suppose he would have considered running over the pit automaton last turn to prevent this 2-dragon situation.
Yeah,
You still have
he
to
could have
face a dragon.
Yeah, so what he could have done is play the boosted sloop, and then crew the boosted sloop, and then run over to kill the engineer, so that this turn doesn't happen, right? And
Right.
then you're just dealing with the ironclad.
So you just kill the
Right.
engineer and just cut it off.
Yeah, you just
entirely.
cut it off entirely, and then you just have to find a way to deal with the vehicle, and then you have a trip up in your hand. So perhaps that was the line that Ben needed to take.
Tough stuff here. Nothing easy in the feature match area. There's a Greenbelt Guardian. He does have the mana to exhaust it.
Yeah, so I suppose you can block, or even
You can exhaust and then crew the Hull Drifter for a block.
if you wanted to double block one of the dragons, go to 5.
Yes,
puts 3
and
counters
then
on himself,
untap,
right?
have trip up for the other dragon and hope that Matt Nass doesn't have anything else going on.
Now, Matt did have access to the broadside barrage, so if he went with that, that would have been pretty tough, right?
Right.
So I think Ben's line was just totally fine. Just Matt just being able to make the
play
double
this.
dragon, they're just so strong.
This is.
Wax and
Wax and
shape thief.
Thief. Mm-hmm.
Is that another dragon?
Sure.
Or an ironclad, I suppose.
Copy dragon.
Jeez.
This card does have flash, but he's choosing to main phase it.
Because he wants to crew the ironclad and
Nah.
attack for
I'll use it to
14.
Through this.
Yeah, this is
I'll
just.
go to
I mean,
combat.
how do you defeat this many 4/4
This is
flying
just too much.
dragons? Yeah, this
You
is
have a
overwhelming.
trip up, right? So you can kill one of the dragons, but then you just don't have other great blocks. Like you can, like I said,
So annoying too, you know, because if you're in Ben's seat again, the fact that he's got 2 dragons, like if he only had one, you could bounce a dragon in response to Wax and Shape Thief, and then make him copy something worse. But he just has a
but you
backup
can't do
dragon.
that. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 3.
yeah. It's so
No, all
so.
good.
Like, is the only option double block the ironclad and trip up a token, take 4, and then you still need to deal with 2
With
dragons,
2 more dragons. Yikes.
and you go to 5. And based on Ben's hand, I mean, he doesn't really have an answer to either dragon. He's got the run over, but needs to play something big. Ketradon. That is really the
Then
card
slam a Ketradon off
that
the
gets
top. He's got 2.
that gives Ben a shot, because when he draws that, all of a sudden Matt's got nothing, right? He's got a Keen Buccaneer, but no way to actually interact with the Ketradon. That'll get Ben back up to 9 life, and then you'll just have something that just completely brick walls all of what Matt can do.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Ben basically has to make a game plan that assumes that Ketradon's on top of his library and set himself up to be able to stabilize, assuming that that's the case. Because if there's a land on top of the library, like, it doesn't look like there's any way he can actually stabilize against this.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're Ben here at this point, you're just kind of playing like Matt has nothing.
And Matt has
just-
nothing,
yeah.
too. Yeah, you have a Ketradon on top, Matt has nothing. Now what do I
Yeah,
do?
and it's just like, what are the perfect blocks in this scenario? And I think it's probably just like getting the ironclad out of the way. I guess you could take 8. What happens if no?
Yeah.
Okay, so because if he does
This
this,
lets him crew the Drifter.
And then this. And then take 8.
oh great, yeah, now you can run over one of the dragons, and you can trip up, but you're at 1 still.
Yeah,
right?
and
So
that
you
means
still
this
just
Buccaneer is also lethal.
yeah. I
And-
don't
and you
actually think
can't
this
cast,
works.
You can't cast Ketradon
Yeah.
and cast
I actually
run
think
over.
this was the worst of the options, because you have no outs. Because if you go run over and trip up, you're down to 1 and you just die. If you draw the Ketradon, you still die,
Yes.
right? Because there are 3 dragons in play.
So, that is game number 2 going to Matt Nass, and we get a game 3 to decide who's going to be undefeated. Both of these players came into day 2 8-0 overnight.
Ben
And
with,
even for players of this caliber, that doesn't happen very often.
Ben with no green. Oh, draws a forest right away, which is good, and he does have a 3-mana play, but that was a little bit dicey. Did have some cyclers there, of course, but
He did not let on,
yeah.
you know.
Draconautics Engineer,
And look at that, just perfect mana.
right?
He keeps drawing this thing, though.
It's a good card. It's good card to draw. If,
I don't know.
it's what gets you to 8-0.
I don't know. I like the mana.
So-
But Ben has played the turn 3 every single
I'll
time.
attack.
Yeah, easy attack here for Matt Nass. As
Good.
oh, he has 2. I didn't even realize he had 2.
Oh, that's incredible.
I just missed that when I was looking. I was looking at the monument. I didn't realize he had double Draconautics Engineer.
That's
unreal.
So he grew the first one and then just played the second one, and Ben already has his hands full?
Wow, this is one of those games where if you're Ben, you're just like, okay, like I had to scrap this teamer deck, and my opponent just goes engineer into engineer. Come on now, right?
That is ridiculous.
18.
Oh, jeez. And Ben's deck just doesn't have too many answers. You know, if he had the opportunity, that one pick, I'm thinking about removal spells he could have taken. There's a Flood the Engine maybe.
Yes.
Could have taken. Could have maybe take it if he took the Broadside Barrage. At that point, he didn't know he was going to be 3 colors. Bounce off, sure.
So this is a post-draw step.
Yeah. Oh my, look at Matt's hand. There's a Monument to Endurance.
Oh, he ended up
4
with it?
cyclers, like 4 ways to cycle his deck with 2 engineers. He just drew everything.
That's incredible hand.
This is gonna be a huge, huge climb here for Ben to get out of this. 2, 3 bombs. I mean, that Monument's basically a bomb in Matt Nass's deck.
Definitely.
I'll keep it on top.
Matt deciding whether he wants to keep the engineer.
15.
Should he
This
keep it on?
this can't be good for Ben Stark. And he did keep it, by the way.
Right. So now for Matt is, do you run out the Monument or you just make 4/4? I think just making the 4/4, force Ben to answer that. If he does, still has plenty more action.
Looks like Ben's flooding out a little bit here, too.
16.
He's still got 3 more lands in hand. Now, he does have the migrating Ketradon that he hoped for last game that could help him stabilize the board if it stays alive.
Now remember, this Engineer can still turn into a 3/3.
This one is the one that was not
It seems that
previously
way.
exhausted, yeah.
Matt's hand is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Broadside Barrage, Trip Up, Engineer, Monument, 2 more cyclers.
The question is, when do you want to get the monument going?
Right.
Like, do you want to take a turn off early, or do you just want to keep doing
I'll
things
attack
and
you
use
with
that
both.
to kind of clean up the mess?
Right. I think
In
Ben
the meantime, this is the easy part.
this is tough. Ben just takes it probably here.
Yeah, he has no good blocks.
No box.
I'll pump this guy.
So I guess we are going to see the monument here.
7 down.
This seems like a pretty
9.
decent time to run it out.
I mean, he has so many great options, but
Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Ben. If Ben draws a land here,
He does
it's
have the
going to be
Ketradon.
extremely difficult to survive.
Yeah, he does have the Ketradon, which does help stabilize the board. Now, Matt Nass does have a Trip Up.
13.
Ben drew
Ben-
Pole Drifter.
Ben does get the life back, right, if you bounce it. So it's not the end of the world, but there's an active Monument here.
I mean,
to
the
play as
monument's
well.
the problem, right? And this is like exactly Matt Nass's vibe. Like, he loves these type of decks.
Right.
Normally he builds them and they're 60 cards, but you know, sometimes you draft one.
Yeah, that Monument, Ben saw it kind of late in pack 1 and kind of made its way into Matt Nass's deck, it seems. So when you
Came
get
all
that
the way
Monument that
around.
late, you just go, you know what? All right, that's got to be a sign. This archetype's open.
Because it was Matt passing to Alamu, passing to Ben
Right,
Stark.
so-
So that
so
thing
Matt
went
got it, like,
all the way
11th
around
or
the table.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you get a 10th pick card that's like the best card in your deck or one of the best, like you're doing some stuff.
This Monument, a lot of good modes. Treasure is nice. Of course, drawing an extra card is also nice. Now, Matt's hand is full of cards, but do you just bounce? Do you just bounce and attack?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think he was probably going to go with the damage plan before because he
Right.
did have Ben at a nice even 9. And
I'll
the monument could do some serious work there, but no, he's going to tempo it out.
6.
7, and
That does net 3 damage,
it
right?
does, and it just eats up so much time from Ben having to recast that thing.
Yeah, and that gives Matt the opportunity to draw another land, right? To just play additional spells on following turns. And those artillerists could also just potentially end the game. Once you get
Yes.
Ben Stark low enough.
Go back to 10.
Yeah, the monument could, the creatures could, the artillerist could.
Ben just like, don't have a thing.
Yeah, please just be out of gas. And then you look at his hand from our perspective, it's like,
Hey, you could just
5
throw away.
spells.
You could just throw away the engineer. Just attack, broadside barrage, get the Ketrodon off the battlefield.
Yes.
Trigger your monument.
I'll
yes.
cycle
not bad.
and hit you for 3 more.
So
Oh,
he is
burn
going,
him-
he is
burning
going
him out.
damage. This looked like where it was going.
So
Remember, you
total
can only
take
use
4
each
down to
ability
6.
once on your turn. So you can't just deal 3 damage again, I don't believe.
I'll attack you with both.
Yeah.
So you take 3 down to 3.
And now we're going to see the barrage. No.
I'll play this guy, and then I'll pass, and your upkeep, I'll cycle.
Yep.
And deal.
And kill you.
Wow.
That was
What a deck. Oh, my
absolutely
goodness.
brutal from Matt Nass. Casually dispatching of Ben Stark and improving to 9-0, Paul. Matt Nass is our undefeated player.
I was going to say, blue-red is a really hard deck to kind of have come together, at least if your deck is mostly commons. It really relies on your bums. Matt Nass has plenty of them, right? We got the monument with all the cycling stuff that he has available to him, and then probably red's best rare, or, you know, in the running for red's best rare, double Draconautics Engineer against Ben Stark's deck that has no real great ways to deal with it other than to run over, and he just didn't have a way to kill it.
No.
I mean, that's just going to win you the game right there.
That is, and that's exactly what happened. Wow, that was impressive stuff. I would not be surprised at all to see Matt Nass in the finals of this pod. If he can put together a 3-0 coming out of this, that puts him at 11 wins. And now we're talking about top 8 very much
Right.
in sight for a player like him. All right, that's going to do it for this one. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be back at the news desk. Don't go anywhere.